desert in the great American Southwest. I'm Art Bell.
Slamming into your radio like a supercharged nanoparticle of unobtainium. My name is George Knapp.
I'm Richard Serrett.
This is Connie Willis.
I'm George Noory. Welcome to Coast AM.
It's great to be here.
Welcome to Coast to Coast PM, the number one unofficial Coast to Coast AM podcast. We are two brothers that listen to the world's largest overnight paranormal radio show known as Coast to Coast AM. My name is Paul. I'm the one that listens to this inexplicable radio show here with my lovely brother.
Oh, I love you so much. You're the best brother on the planet.
We're starting great today.
Best brother on the planet right here, folks, at Coast to Coast PM with your boy Chris.
Man.
And his favorite brother on the whole planet who he loves so much, Paul.
Definitely not already arguing in the pre-show. It's fine. Let's do the show, Christopher.
I want to talk about haunted bars, Paul. What do you want to talk about?
Okay, let's not do my thing, okay? That's my thing. Chris, today we're talking about haunted bars.
Oh, perfect. That's exactly what I want to talk about. I started drinking already just to get ready for it.
I never drank during these. I cracked a beer just in honor of Mark Leslie and his interview with George Noory on March 1st, 2024.
1, 2, 3, chug.
Oh, all right. Wow. Heineken
Bar
really goes
episode.
Down good when you drink fast.
Bar episode, baby. Oh, dude, come on. I'm doing a freaking White Claw hard seltzer pineapple, baby. You know that doesn't feel good.
That sounds terrible.
It doesn't feel good.
Man, we're finally one of those shows that talks about what they're drinking. That is the one thing that is two white dudes with beards we have avoided doing.
We have avoided
for like 85 episodes.
Not good either. Or was it so good because it wasn't like some kind of obscure beer from a no-name mid-sized city's brewery, right?
Yeah. Or some like weird like local distilled whiskey. It's like, no, I got Heineken from the corner store because I didn't feel like Miller Lite tonight. And you got
popping out. They popping out millions of these White Claws every single year. I'm just trying to get drunk for the ghost bars.
They're calling you Wolverine with how many claws you got now.
Ooh.
You like that one? I thought of it.
I liked it a lot, but I've been drinking a little bit, so.
So maybe it's the alcohol. Well, Chris.
It's certainly not you because you're typically not funny.
Okay, can we be nice today?
Oh, sorry.
Can we be nice?
Are we going back to nice? Okay.
We're being nice. This is
right.
Nice rapport.
Yes.
Do people like us being mean to each other?
I don't know. I don't have any idea. I don't know. People are shocked that we're actually brothers. So I feel like we don't put enough little sibling rivalry into it.
Maybe we need to talk more shit. I don't know. We'll work on that. Right into the CPM pod. Do we need to be more angry with each other? But before, Chris, this is already off the rails. Before we get to anything that we're talking about today, we got to get to our good friend Tim Banal at the Coast to Coast AM blog.
Tim time.
Today's article: suspected sorcerer busted with a bevy of bizarre magical items at the Dubai airport.
You don't hear bevy enough.
Good word. That's a very good word.
Great word. I will say this about Timmy. He goes to the thesaurus and picks out the best words, dude. He really does. And there was like a nice alliteration in there.
Mm-hmm.
He's an alliteration fan, much like me, I've noticed.
I've started using alliteration more in my day-to-day because of Tim Banal.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's fun. It's fun.
Dude, alliteration is literally one of my favorite techniques when I'm writing. I just love it so much.
Yeah, it's great. It's eye-catching, you know?
Yeah. And then when you throw in a word like bevy, come on.
Yeah, just a little spice, you know?
Yeah.
A little chili pepper in the soup.
So good. But give it to me. I want to hear more about this sorcerer.
From the article. Customs officials at the Dubai International Airport arrested a traveler on suspicion of sorcery after they uncovered a bevy of magical accoutrements stashed in his luggage. Wow. His vocabulary today, he's knocking it out of the park.
He's knocking it out of the park.
Damn.
Knocking it out of the park. So the sorcerer is putting sorcerer devices into their luggage
Mhm.
at the airport.
Which is really fun because when you think of magical items, you usually imagine them being in some chest and like a hut out in the woods.
There you go.
I'm very
I see
grainy
where you
magic.
go.
You know what I mean?
I was
I'm up
gonna
in the
say,
hills.
you're definitely going like, Hansel and Gretel in the woods with your magic.
That's how I usually see it. Or a sorcerer at the top of a tower. I don't
Right.
think of it going through TSA.
No, you don't think about them going through TSA. Can you imagine some of the things that TSA agents have found in people's luggage? I mean, it's got to actually be terrifying.
I think it's mostly dildos.
Probably a lot of dildos. I think it's actually probably a shocking amount of dildos.
The bizarre bust reportedly occurred early Tuesday morning when officers inspected the bags of a man arriving from an African country. The African countries in quotes.
Why?
I don't know.
Why are they in quotes?
I don't know. I guess that's he's quoting from the article, Chris.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
It's weird the article didn't say the country.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to be like, I'm not just saying African country. I know, you know what I mean? I think he was like,
this is a direct quote.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're from.
Yeah, because they'll be like, coming from somewhere in Europe is like kind of a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
Upon opening the luggage, they were surprised to find, quote, a live snake inside a plastic box that was wrapped and hidden.
That would be shocking. That would be shocking to find a live snake in somebody's luggage and terrifying. And my immediate thought is sorcery if I was to find that in somebody's luggage.
That's fair. That's fair. That is not something you should take on a plane, is a live snake. Unless you claim it. I'm sure there's a way to transport a snake on a plane.
Or you're Samuel L. Jackson.
That's very true, Chris. However, the unfortunate reptile was merely the proverbial tip of the supernatural iceberg, as the search subsequently yielded an array of truly strange items believed to be used in black magic rituals.
We got to hear these items. We got to hear these items. Give them to me, dude. I'm so excited. I can't even fathom what is on this list after live snake.
Other curious objects contained in the man's luggage were the hand of a monkey, a dead bird, eggs wrapped in cotton used in sorcery, spells, talismans, and tools containing scraps of paper.
I would really have loved some more specificity on the talismans.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this, monkey's paw?
Monkey's paw.
The man's got a monkey's paw.
You don't bring a monkey's paw with you.
That's a real sorcerer, dude.
I just feel like having a monkey's paw with you is how your plane crashes.
Yeah. No, dude, the monkey's paw is what gives you the wishes. But you got to remember that the wishes backfire. So you have to be incredibly intelligent about your monkey's paw wishes.
Chris, I've seen Wonder Woman 1984. I know how this works.
Is there a monkey's paw in Wonder Woman?
Oh my God, that's the whole point of the thing. They say the phrase monkey's paw like 80 times in that movie. Like, you don't get it.
I think we've had this conversation.
I think we have. I think I've told you about this.
I think you've told me about this.
It's frustrating how much they say monkey's paw. Like, we're too dumb to get it, so they have to keep beating it in. The whole movie.
Do you understand what a monkey's paw is, audience? It's when you ask for something and then something bad happens and the audience is like, we know what a monkey's paw is.
There's at least 3 monologues that are exactly that in Wonder Woman 1984. We discussed this on our last podcast. Not the last episode of this, our political podcast.
Okay. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I was really mad about it.
Yeah. Well, and you know what, dude? Everyone knows about the monkey's paw because of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
I mean, that's the best monkey's paw episode on the whole planet.
Yeah. Most of the greatest ideas ever created were in Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors. I think if you just base your movies off that for the rest of time, they're like Shakespeare, but better.
Simpsons did it. Simpsons did it.
The various odd items were seized and turned over to the country's Department of Islamic Affairs and Charitable Activities in Dubai, which said to have confirmed that they were intended to be used in sorcery. I did not think about that.
I was going to say, I don't feel like in America, other than the live snake, I think in America, that man isn't losing any of those things. Maybe the dead bird. That may break some kind of strange violation unless he had some kind of permit for it. Though I'm not 100% positive.
There could be a potential like health and safety violation there.
Well, and I was thinking possible like livestock, like flora, fauna laws that you're not supposed to transport live or dead things, whether they be seeds or birds.
I bet you if properly contained, you could bring a dead bird.
I think if you claimed it and you said I got a dead bird in this thing, I don't think in America anybody's gonna stop you. They're like, all right, it's weird, but keep going. The snake, I think the snake is going to raise eyebrows in America.
I don't know if it would have gotten caught in America. I mean, like 95% of guns make it through TSA.
Yeah, you're right.
So you probably would just cruise right through.
When you're going through Dubai, though, they're looking for sorcery, dude.
They're mostly looking for sorcery. They're not looking for weapons or bombs. They're looking for
maybe exclusively sorcery that they're they may have sorcery detectors through their airport, which is worrisome because I do have a couple talismans that have theoretically been blessed with stuff. So I got to be careful if I'm ever going through Dubai, which is probably never going to happen. I don't think they would let me in.
You gave me a spell for my birthday. I have it on my desk right now.
I gave you for Christmas.
Oh, it was for Christmas, not my birthday.
It was a Christmas spell.
My birthday hasn't happened yet. I don't know why I said that for Christmas.
Yeah. It's a Christmas spell.
Exactly. So we love magic here in this family. In a statement regarding the arrest, customs officials decreed the danger of these materials used in acts of magic, quackery, and tampering with people's minds, and credited the bust to the rigorous training and educational courses provided their inspectors. I love that they're training people to catch sorcerers.
Yes, dude. I should have been born a Muslim person, dude.
In Dubai.
I really should have been Muslim. Like, doo-doo Protestantism, where they were like, we're scared of magic. And the Muslims look on it directly in the face and they're like, we are infusing our governmental system with the knowledge of how to detect sorcery. And I love that, dude. The Muslims are doing it right.
Can you imagine, though, like in the US, I don't think anyone would even think this is a sorcerer. I think they would think this is a guy with some weird shit and he brought his pet snake.
Right. Yeah.
So, I don't know.
And I love, And
it's a more fun
Muslims
worldview.
are like, we got a sorcerer here. And the guy's like, I'm the most powerful sorcerer from an African country on the planet.
A nondescript African country.
Just one of them.
Just a country. Take a guess.
African country.
There's only like 60 of them. Take a guess. The suspected sorcerer now faces a fine of around $13,000 as well as jail time if convicted of engaging in witchcraft.
That's why maybe I shouldn't have been born a Muslim, because they do hit you with the penalties.
They get you.
Hard.
They get you.
And to be a suspected sorcerer, and at the minimum you're paying $13,000, ouch.
Dude, do you know how many magic books I have in my house? I would be so fined in Dubai.
You're going to the gulag, dude, in Dubai.
In trouble.
You're gonna be building FIFA stadiums for the for the UAE.
Yeah, one of them was in my Christmas present. You gave me a magic book for Christmas.
Yeah.
And then I got a couple others.
I hit you with so much magic this Christmas.
You
dude.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
It was a magical Christmas, literally. It was a witchcraft Christmas.
It was
very pagan.
Yeah, it was. Paganism is all I got anymore, dude. I'm going back to the old ways.
It's like that. Have you seen those guys online who are starting to do like old Nordic religions and stuff?
You got to be careful with some of those guys.
You get a little Nazi.
You got to be careful. I prefer to go a little bit more Southern Mediterranean with that, because here's the thing at the end of the day. The Southern Meds were lazy. They didn't really like to work too hard. They just wanted to drink and look at the beautiful ocean expanse in front of them and be like, yeah, the gods are angry about something, but I don't really care because I'm drunk. Much like I'm getting for this episode.
There you go. And we're Italian, so you're allowed to say this.
And Spanish, dude. We got a lot of pagan roots in us. And here's the thing.
Yes.
I really do blame the Romans, dude. But the Romans are Northern Italians.
All right.
Not Southern Italians.
I'm going to reel you in before we get on the Romans.
Not Southern Italians.
Because, Chris, we got to talk about our episode today.
Okay.
Mark Leslie's interview with George Noory on March 1st of 2024. That's this year. Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump in because Mark Leslie is writing a book about the most haunted bars in Canada / I think there's some American ones too, but he's Canadian. He's Canadian.
Canada?
He's Canadian.
I don't care anymore. Why would you tell me that?
Oh, hush. Let's get into the episode. Let's get to the intro. George's intro.
And welcome back to Coast. George Noory back with Mark Leslie, writer of true paranormal explorations and Twilight Zone-style fiction. He lives in southwestern Ontario, Canada, often seen traveling to book events and his life-size skeletal companion friend with him, Barnaby Bones. And when he's not writing or reading, Mark can be found haunting bookstores, libraries, or local craft beer establishments. His latest work is called Spirits Untapped, Haunted Bars and Breweries. Mark, welcome back.
Hey, George. Great to be back.
I will say, getting to travel around to quote-unquote haunted bars and write a book about it sounds like an absolute dream.
That's mostly why I picked this episode, is I'm jealous of Mark's life.
That sounds like the most fun one could have writing a book.
And he has a skeleton in his passenger seat named Barnaby Bones.
What a madman, dude. I love this guy.
He's living the dream life.
Even though he's Canadian.
He said, okay, first off, Chris, we have so many Canadian listeners and they get so mad when you do this. So stop.
I kid my friends to the north.
I have to deal with the emails. So, but I think he's living a magical life, and I'm jealous of this because it sounds
incredible.
Fun.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, let's get into some of his thoughts. Which, number one, George asks, why are there hauntings, Chris? The hard-hitting questions.
In your opinion, what makes a spirit haunt? What do they want?
I think it varies, right? I mean, sometimes it's unresolved issues that weren't solved in life. A lot of the ghosts, a lot of the stories I've researched are people who met an unfortunate, untimely end. They weren't done, so they're still there looking for what it was, maybe mimicking the actions they were taking before they died. Lonely, wanting to connect with people, and the other thing is potentially one of the other theories that people have about ghosts or spirits is that maybe they're not the spirits of the departed from the body. Maybe they're an impression, kind of like a cathode ray tube that somebody leaves in a place.
This is an enlightened individual, dude. First, George hits him with a hard-hitting question. Very good on George. That was awesome. And then what's this dude's name?
Mark Leslie.
Mark hits it out of the park, dude.
Nailed it.
He nailed every single one of our talking points about what we think ghosts could possibly be.
And it was a very concise answer as well. On our next episode, Chris, we're going to be introduced to someone who is very not concise or thought through. So it's going to be a pretty major juxtaposition of our boy Mark, who's like, boom, boom, boom. This is what it is. Which one do you think is the most likely, though? Do you think all of them exist or only one of them exist? Like, what are your thoughts here?
This is a hard one for me because I definitely think the impression one exists.
Mm-hmm.
I think particularly traumatic events can impress themselves on the environment. And if one was in a right state, could almost experience the experience for themselves. So I do kind of believe that.
Mm-hmm.
That one. There being souls that are stuck here for some reason, I can somewhat buy. But that one is a little bit tougher for me in the long run because I think after death, our individualism almost completely not washes away, but isn't so much manifested anymore. And I don't know. It's hard because, I haven't died and I haven't come back to life. So I have no idea, right? We've talked about maybe there's a couple of hours, right? Maybe you have 48 hours but again, that just seems silly. That just seems kind of silly that there's time limits and times in which things have to happen. And I don't know if I buy that. So I like thinking about going to the bubble consciousness and then taking my experience and uploading it into the Uber consciousness and then becoming one with it all again. That's what brings me happiness when I'm thinking about, what happens after.
That's the dream, right? I think that's what we all kind of want, is to just download everything that happened and just go vibe out in the Godhead.
I want to see what the other experiences were too. You know what I mean? People would get to see my experiences, some of the beautiful things and some of the terrible things I saw, but I would get to see the beautiful and the terrible that they saw too. And in vastly different parts of the universe, under completely different circumstances than my own. And just thinking about getting to experience, but also being one at the same time. This sounds incredible to me. It just sounds like a magical experience.
I'm a big fan of the residual, mainly since we listened to that Professor Masters, which take a drink because we mentioned Professor Masters. But his discussion of block time, I just love applying to ghosts. Of maybe there's some way that we can, vibe through these traumatic events that are still occurring in the same space, even though it's a different time.
Yeah.
But next question, Chris. Where are these ghosts coming from, man?
Who turns them loose on us?
Oh, I think we turn them loose on ourselves. It usually happens with some sort of tragedy or some sort of really emotional, resonating event. But I also think that there are people who are more sensitive to be able to see things. Just like when you think about fine wine, and I have friends who can taste wine and they can just pick out all these nuances in the wine, and I go, well, it's good, or I don't like it. And I think there's sensitive people like that with ghosts as well.
That's a good point.
We got to get this guy on the show. This dude rules.
He's great. He's very good.
He's just yes, we've talked about all of that.
Man, and I'm as bad at sensing ghosts as I am at tasting wine. It's awful.
Here's the thing. I really do believe that it is something that can be taught. This ability to use our senses to feel the vibrations of the world around us, and which we aren't doing currently. It's like a weird form of meditation, and then also you kind of have to be almost trained by somebody who already kind of has these abilities, but it's tough because there's so many BSers, right? And I would imagine that it would be very difficult to tell the difference between people who are BSing and aren't BSing, right? because we don't, it's not something that is studied in our conception of science. This is all seen as BS, right? Like, we are talking about like pseudo crap, dude. You know what I mean? Like, pushed to the fringes because people are thought insane. But I really do believe that there is something to all of this. And I think there are ways that we would be able to enhance our abilities to penetrate an almost next dimension in which, if we could penetrate it, would maybe kind of be able to do this almost movement through time in space in this weird way.
Sometimes I wonder why I'm the one that listens to Coast. I'll be honest. Why is that?
Because it would actually drive me insane.
It would be probably pretty unhealthy for you.
You have more of the liberal brain, but also you know me, dude, I get so, like, immediately when I know somebody is lying to me, I can't listen to them anymore. And so many of the people on Coast, I'm like, I know you're lying to me. Like, I have to listen to scientists and stuff like that to get these weird places that kind of push my perceptions of what the hell is going on in the universe. But I take their like grounded approach and I'm like, okay, what if we make this just a little bit weirder?
Well, speaking of weird, Chris, let's bring this back into ghosts.
Yes.
And learn a little bit about why they're hanging out in bars so much.
Let me get a drink real quick.
Okay.
And the most fascinating connection when you think about bars and breweries and ghosts is, you think about ghosts just trying to connect back with what they lost, right? Come back in touch with us. And why do we go to bars and breweries and restaurants and places like that, drinking establishments? It's usually to connect with other people. And so I've had a heck of a time traveling and going to, allegedly reported haunted bars and breweries, sitting at the bar, having a few drinks, just listening, see if I can pick up some stories from some regulars, and then talking to the owners and the staff and the bartender and stuff like that. And usually, if the mood's right and it's not too busy, I can usually get some good stories from them.
I can only imagine that no matter what kind of perception of the ghost we're having, right? Whether it is kind of more an impression or if it is more of a being who haunts places, a bar is going to be the place where a lot of these beings, if they do get stuck on Earth for whatever reason, on our plane, of course they would hang out at the bar, dude. That was probably some of the best moments of their lives were at the bar. Right?
Yeah.
And if we think about, a lot of the ghosts, the one I'm thinking of specifically was the one who would you would see the ghost in the woods hunting. I think we saw the picture of him for a Tim time. And we were just like, that's a ghost who, that was a man, that was one of his favorite times was to be out there hunting out in the woods by himself, being one with nature. And so, of course, if we are, for whatever reason, stuck here, we would want to seek out the things that we love to do in life as well. And again, for souls who I would imagine would get stuck here, the bar would be a place they would haunt because they loved it. And so I don't think almost any real spirit who was at a bar would be nefarious unless they were killed there.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Do you think that in 100 years people are going to be seeing ghosts that are like scrolling on their phone or podcasting?
I hope not. That would be so depressing.
I think that's what it's going to be.
That would be really, really depressing. But I mean, you're 100% right. You're 100% right.
Someone just like
Oh
sitting
my
there with an
God.
Xbox controller in their hand for hours,
Oh
haunting
my-
your basement.
That's terrifying.
But like, if you think about the
Yeah.
corollary to modern day, that's what
Yes.
the ghosts would be
Right.
doing.
Doing things that they did in life.
And what do? We stare and look at screens all day.
Yeah.
This is
right.
making me want to do more interesting things.
Yeah. Gotta stop staring at screens.
For my future haunting, I
Yes.
want to be more engaging with
Yes.
whoever I'm haunting.
I will say this, talking to my brother is a very special and emotional thing. So if that's what I'm doing in death, I will be happy with that.
Wow. Wait, we have to keep doing this when we die too?
It never stops.
Just gonna be me and you talking about ghosts in the Godhead.
McConaughey told us, dude, time is a flat circle.
We do this forever and ever.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to get to some ghost stories, Chris?
Absolutely.
We haven't gotten to a ghost story yet.
Not
Let's
one
learn.
ghost story, dude. We're getting existential with
I
it.
know,
dude.
you were getting weird. Let's get to Captain Swayze's ghost story, a British soldier up in Canada.
So this was back in Niagara on the Lake, Niagara on the Lake, Ontario. So not far from Niagara Falls. It's the Old Angel Inn, and this is it's just a beautiful English pub attached to. It's got rooms upstairs. And Captain Swayze, he was a British soldier, and he was staying in Niagara on the Lake. Fort George was already destroyed when the Americans destroyed it, and he was attached to a woman that he loved, so he stuck around even though he was told to, get out of Dodge. And so he stuck around. He was hiding at the Angel Inn, and he ended up hiding in a cellar in a wine barrel. And of course, the enemy soldiers came in with their bayonets. They just kept stabbing all the different barrels, and they finally got to the one that he was in. And now, allegedly, it's his ghost that walks around. The washrooms are located right near where you get to the wine cellar, and that's usually where a lot of reported sightings are seen.
Violent death, dude.
That's a violent death and a lover death.
Yeah, and a lover
Stuck
death.
around for his girl,
Yeah.
hides in a barrel,
Yep.
stabbed to death. That
Yeah.
sucks. That guy's
Gotta
gonna
love-
haunt the room.
And you gotta love Revolutionary War, dude. Come on.
Also a classic.
Yeah,
Well,
dude.
history.
Yeah. So that red coat probably deserved it, but
Well, and that's the thing I really like about ghost stories too, is that they do involve so much history.
yeah.
And that's the best kind of ghost story. I
Yeah.
don't want to just hear about some random kid. I want to know like the lore
Yeah.
behind it,
Deep
right? The
lore.
life of this
Yeah.
person
Yes.
who
Yes.
got
yes,
cholera
yes.
and died at 8 and now sings a lullaby in the attic.
Yes, yes, dude. That's the best stories. That's the best ghost stories.
Yeah, that's why they're so great. And I just love that this guy gets to go to bars, drink, talk to the bartender, learn the ghost stories, and then put them in a book.
It's incredible. It really is. Do you mind if I take some notes? And he's just like 4 beers deep, and it's just like a freaking scroll on the page, and he's like, what the hell did I write here?
This guy's like the most functional alcoholic of all time. He turned his drinking into a career, and I respect it.
I'm contemplating doing this.
You could, I mean, he's doing it in Canada. No one's
He's
doing
it in Canada, dude. Canada. Let's do a freaking tour of the South, haunted bars. I mean, dude, we could make a like TLC show on that.
Well, and people love the South, man.
We're two brothers driving around America in a station wagon.
It's got to be a station wagon. So
It's
for like a
got-
red pickup.
It's got to
Why
be
is it a station wagon?
It's got to be a station wagon with the wooden panels on the side.
Why is it that?
Because I want that. That's what I want. And then we got both our dogs in the back. And we're just driving down a dusty road. And it's like, we're coming up on an old abandoned bar here. And it's haunted.
I mean, I don't hate it. I'm going to be honest.
Let's call, who knows people? I don't know anyone who could help me make this.
If any of our listeners work for TLC, let us know.
It doesn't have to be explicitly TLC, but a TLC-like contributor would be nice.
I think pretty much any station that used to put educational content now does shit like that. Like Discovery, History.
I used to have a Discovery contact. I don't know if she works for Discovery anymore, but I'll give her a call, dude. Got a great ghost hunting idea / bars. It's perfect. And they're like, Chris, don't ever call me again.
I got Discovery Plus at one point to watch the Skinwalker Ranch show. So that shows you what kind of quality content they're putting out, is that it's just a bunch of people on Skinwalker being like, we dug a big hole. We didn't find anything.
It can't be worse than that.
No, it can't be worse. The bar's low.
And we've shown that we can build a listenership.
Yeah.
Let us know if y'all would watch us driving around to podunk towns in the South.
If nothing else, it could be a YouTube channel.
Talking about ghosts.
Talking about ghosts and bars.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the South, Chris, I think this next one's actually in Charleston at Poogan's Porch.
Oh, dude.
Which have you been there?
Yeah. I've never been there, but I know of it.
I went on my honeymoon in Charleston, yeah.
Did you know it was haunted?
No one told me it was haunted.
Oh,
I just assumed everything in Charleston and Savannah was haunted, though. I think it's just a safe assumption.
That's a safe bet. That's a safe bet.
I'll tell my ghost story after this.
Okay.
Oh, so Poogan's Porch. So this is a beautiful Victorian townhouse. It's just got a place you can dine inside. They've got a patio. They've got a porch. There's just so many different locations in it. It was originally built in 1888. So there were various residents in the years, but in the early 1900s, there was a woman named Zoe St. Amand and her sister Elizabeth. They moved into the house. They lived alone. They were sort of like spinsters living together, et cetera. They were really close, really, really close sisters. They kept to themselves mostly. Zoe was a school teacher, and she kind of dressed, that part, long black dresses, wire rim glasses, sort of very Puritan, Southern, more Puritan, I should say, than Southern belle. And anyways, they lived together. And it was broken when Elizabeth passed away in 1945. And so Zoe, being so close to her sister, was devastated by her best friend, basically, who had died. So she fell into a very deep depression. Her mental health started to deteriorate, and she didn't have any support, any help to help her with all of this. She became so delusional. There's stories of her crying out her sister's name while wandering down the street in the middle of the night. And that's Queen Street, which is where that's located. And neighbors were concerned for her well-being. They had to basically put her in a hospital because they were worried that she was going to hurt herself. She ended up dying in the hospital. However, the belief is that she came back. She needed to come back because she wanted to be with her sister. So even though she didn't die in the home, she was in angst in the home for a long, long time. And so there's a belief that she still, comes back. And at night, even from across the street, you don't even have to be in the building. People allegedly still see her wandering up and down the street in front of the place.
Good stuff, dude.
That's a spooky story.
That's a
creepy
spooky
lady,
story.
dressed in black, wandering up and down the street crying for her sister.
Yeah, weird thing with the sister, dude. Like, yeah, man, come on.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I liked that one. And it's Charleston. Not
a super bar story. It just kind of happens around the bar.
Yeah, that's
you know
true.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I would want, those ladies weren't drinking.
Nah.
Those ladies weren't having a good time.
Maybe they were.
I really doubt it, dude. There was a weird thing. Charleston was weird back in the day, dude.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, how do I say this? In Charleston, there were worldly delights for a certain type of person. Right? Like the world was, you could have whatever you wanted in Charleston. If you were a certain type of person. For the most part, though, it was an incredibly repressed society. So, no, dude, these ladies were not drinking. They were not having a good time. They were spinsters. They didn't get married early enough. And so then they were alone by themselves for the rest of their lives. This was not a good life.
Not by themselves, because they had each other.
They
Chris.
had well, until the one died.
Yeah, until the one
And
died.
then that's why she's so depressed.
Yeah.
And why she's still wandering, because she's like, I didn't have anybody to see me unto the next life. And I think that is one of the main reasons why, if souls remain on this plane, that is the reason why they don't have the network, the literal like soul network to see them off into, like, almost like the pharaohs in the pyramids. They needed the freaking pyramid to guide them, and you kind of do need like at least somebody else there who can like hold your hand as you go into the next world.
It's like a spiritual, your network is your net worth. You need
Right.
you need a network of socialization to pull you up.
Right.
That's funny.
Exactly.
That's fun. That's a funny thought, dude. We're like, shit, what if there is a correlation between general loneliness
Right.
and hauntings
100%.
because you had no one to grab your hand
Right.
and say, yo, you gotta go up, buddy.
This lady had no one once her sister.
Where was her sister though? Why did your sister come get her?
I think I almost guarantee it, because her sister had her sister, the one who remained alive, that she was able to go on.
Kind of like,
do you see?
Like slingshotted her up.
Oh, almost exactly. Almost exactly. And that's what I'm saying. You got to have somebody, you have to have one person in your life that you can remain on. And it's funny because, like, I imagine there's probably a lot of hermit souls left here, but you wouldn't know because they were completely alone.
Well, they're probably also in the middle of nowhere too, right?
Right, exactly.
So that's also another piece
Exactly.
of it. Man, I always thought in another life I would have been a great hermit though. Kind of just holing up in the woods.
You wouldn't. It's a very specific type of existence, and I don't think I would actually enjoy it.
I don't know. I don't think I would enjoy it. I think I would do it though.
My life is enriched when I have plenty of people around me.
Oh, that's really nice, actually.
So,
including me,
including my wonderful brother, and I only wish that we weren't doing this on Zoom and we were doing it in person. That's the only way this could make it better.
That's the other thing people have been shocked by, is that we do this over Zoom. We're not in the same room.
Yeah.
We're hundreds of miles apart. Well, Chris, you want something more in a bar?
I want drinking spirits, because like that bummed me out.
Okay, I got one for you.
You started me hot with like red coats getting chased down by my beautiful boys in blue. You start me with there.
I took you to a lonely spitster crying in the streets.
And I was primed to be excited with it being in Charleston. I'm like,
yeah,
nah, you're really making me think about a lot of things I don't love about the South. So this isn't fun for me anymore.
Well, how do you feel about Al Capone, Chris?
Love Al Capone.
Let's get to it.
Al Capone.
This is America's most haunted cigar bar, but it has a rich history.
Yes.
There's a place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin called Shaker's Cigar Bar that was built on top of an old cemetery. That's a known.
Yeah, that's right. It's actually known as America's most haunted cigar bar, and they play that up a lot at Halloween, of course. But the funny thing is if you go there at night, if you go by at night, there's no mistaking that they play this up, because they embrace the reputation, the stories that have been told. It's lit up in purple. They even have ghosts, cute ghosts in the windows, on top of the roof, etc. So this was built in 1894, and it was the Schlitz Brewing building. And then Prohibition hit, and of course that's when the Capone brothers took ownership of the building. And so they operated as a speakeasy, and then of course the brothel on the top two floors. But the basement is where the Capones, that's where their secret hideout was. It's dark, old, cobwebs everywhere, etc. And there's a cistern that Marley Decker, who is a tour guide at Shakers, has said every time it's brought out bad spirits, every time they try to cover up the cistern, as if something needs to get out of there. This is a quote from Marley says, "The well goes down so far to the point that you can't see the bottom." So you can imagine that when the Capones owned this building, this is probably a really perfect place for them to throw things they never wanted to be found again. And throwing things, or maybe throwing people.
I'm about a one-up Mark, dude. Have I told the Hot Springs, Arkansas mafia story?
No,
Have I not on the
I
pod?
don't think so. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So, dude, back in the day, during the 1910s, 1920s, Hot Springs, Arkansas was neutral territory for all U.S. mob families because of the hot springs. And so the hot springs started attracting everybody. They started putting like gambling halls. There's a race. They race horses down there, dude. They turned this into a little gangster's paradise down in Hot Springs, Arkansas. But again, it was neutral territory. Apparently, somebody pissed off old Mr. Al Capone and was down in one of the Hot Springs hotels, which I imagine had a bar on it because they were all drinking like fish in Hot Springs, Arkansas, which it was almost, other than like bootleggers and like moonshiners, you couldn't find booze in Arkansas at the time. And we know this because it was hard to find booze in Arkansas when we were kids.
Yeah.
That didn't change.
You still had to get some moonshine, honestly.
Yeah.
I had a buddy that got a big old bucket of moonshine once in an old milk gallon.
Yeah, dude. Disgusting.
It's so gross.
Oh my God, dude. The things that did to y'all's body is shocking.
Oh, God.
But anyways, so Al Capone has this guy whacked at the hotel in neutral territory. And so anyways, big thing. It's like huge at this hotel. Like people like pay extra to stay in the room where the guy got whacked. So anyways.
Can you still stay at that hotel?
I'm pretty sure you can still stay at that hotel.
I would stay in the room the guy that got whacked in.
We're putting it on the TLC show, dude.
It's gonna be great, dude.
Yeah,
that's stop one is Hot Springs, man.
I don't know, dude. I think Louisiana should be stop one. Somewhere in New Orleans, like on Bourbon Street, just so we can like really hit people in the face that we're like alcoholics, but we also love ghosts.
We're just really into ghosts.
But we're really into ghosts.
Man,
I'm telling you, we're gonna see ghosts tonight, man. I promise, man. It's gonna be incredible, man.
Dude, on my honeymoon, I made my wife go on a ghost tour in Savannah because I was like, we're not going to be here and not do a ghost tour.
Savannah's a great place for ghosts. Also, terrifying ghosts. I feel like we probably do need to get a black person involved somehow because almost all the ghost stories in the South are going to be somewhat slave related. And two white guys, even though I will say our family, 1920s. 1920s.
We
our
were
family.
late getting to America. That shit wasn't our fault.
We're late. We're late. We
don't for shit.
Yeah, dude. We were here after, but I still think people are going to see two white guys telling like what is going to end up being quite a few.
That's fair. We should think about the diversity of this program.
Stories. Yeah. We're gonna Black Brothers, and so
the South has a checkered history, and I think a variety of perspectives will lend to a diversity of opinions.
Let's get a Black Brother group, and then
you're making it weird. You're making it weird.
We can do like a Oreo type thing.
You're making it weird. This officially is just weird. And all right, do you want another ghost story?
Yes. Save me.
I'm going to help you out here, Chris. Let's turn to the quaint town of Hamilton, Ontario.
Tell us a story about the Winking Judge of Hamilton, Ontario.
Well, I have to say the Winking Judge is actually one of my favorite bars in Hamilton, Ontario. And I first discovered it when I was working on the book Haunted Hamilton. And then I ended up becoming a regular at the bar after I started researching it, because not only did they have some ghosts.
You go to a lot of bars, Mark, don't you?
I apparently I enjoy them. But it is it's named after an elderly man in a top hat who's known as or nicknamed as the Judge, and he's been seen more than 50 times by different guests. He wears a dark suit, the top hat. He usually appears in reflective surfaces.
He's like the Hat Man I just talked about.
Yeah, you were talking about that earlier. It's like the Hat Man, but except it's not when you're sleeping. It's during the day or during the evening when it's open. Sometimes he's been seen hovering outside the window of the men's room on the second floor.
Top Hat's bad, dude. Top Hat's no good.
Top Hat's bad. Why is he outside the men's room?
He perpetually had to pee. Maybe
I don't know. He's hovering outside the window of the men's room. Why is he doing that? That's not cool, dude.
Peeping Tom.
That's a Peeping Tom situation.
Peeping Tom, top hat wearing ghost.
That's a perv ghost, dude.
That's a perv ghost. Well, here's the thing. Like we're talking about. That's what that dude was doing in life.
He just had a ladder. Dude would just like go.
Do they call him the Judge because he's judging our penis sizes?
Could be. It could be. I don't have proof that they don't do that.
That's why they're calling him the Judge.
No, they're calling him the Judge because how he looks.
Oh. I thought it was because he was judging our length.
No.
Oh, okay. He would not be happy with mine. I would be guilty.
Jesus Christ. Do you want to hear you're going off the rails. Do you want to hear the rest of the Judge story?
I thought this was a fun episode.
Yeah, it was supposed to be, and then you start talking about your dick length, and then they got weird.
I thought it was America.
But one of the most fascinating stories I heard from the owner at the time, Mary, is she would get in. The bar would open at 3 o'clock every day, and stay open till 1, 2 in the morning. She would go there. And her daughter would often come with her, like from school, and be there until her father picked her up. So she would just be there and playing. And she was upstairs on the second floor, and Mary was around the bar getting some stuff ready, and she could hear her daughter having a conversation. She's probably about 10 years old. And Mary went upstairs and said, "Who are you talking to?" And her daughter said, "Oh, the really nice man in the top hat. He sits at at the table by the window over there." And Mary had already heard stories about the man in the top hat, so she just didn't say anything to her daughter. Didn't want to freak her out. Didn't want to scare her. But that's one of the tales. And oftentimes when I was talking to the bartenders there, he would say, "Yeah, I could swear. Sometimes I'd be cleaning up. I'm by myself, or someone's downstairs changing the kegs, and I'm at the bar. No one else is in the building, and I think I see someone sitting over by the window."
Not entirely convincing set of stories.
I bought it.
It's okay.
I bought it, dude. Here's the thing: little kids, I believe they see ghosts.
Very perceptive. Okay, we got one there, and then the bartender, who's probably a drunk at the very least.
Whoa!
Probably uses some type of illicit drugs.
Whoa!
Maybe not illicit in Canada. They may have legalized pot, but he's at least a stoner. But anyway, so all that to say, like, okay, not gonna trust this guy.
And George brought that up, and he's like, "What? I bet you all these bartenders are drunk." And he was like, "No, they're not drinking. They're working." And I believe that. They're working hard over there. But they could be high. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And in Canada, weed is legal.
Yeah, so
everywhere.
That's all good.
And you know what? We should legalize it here, okay?
It's all good, dude. It's all good. But I'm just saying, like, the man in the top hat, first of all, any top hat person is sinister. So get away. I mean, he's staring at people's Johnsons while they're taking a leak.
Well, and it was funny because I almost cut a clip of it, but Heidi Hollis started out the episode talking about Hat Man, and I wanted to include it almost just to, because we need to do another Heidi episode. She's on like 8 times a week.
We did like one Heidi episode, dude.
Yeah,
this whole
but
time.
I thought like we did it, and I didn't want to come back to it. But
Right.
God, I love the Hat Man stuff, dude.
Is that all she talks about?
Oh yeah, just shadow people and Hat Man.
That is it.
That is no. What else would she talk about?
I have
That's her
no
thing.
idea. I don't have any idea. I just, man. So she just, well, I will say, we always said pick a lane and stay in it. She
Mhm.
stays in the shadow people Hat Man realm.
I respect her mental illness because she definitely sees a lot of things, Chris.
That's very specific.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she, because so she didn't start it, right? Art kind of started it back in the day
Right.
when he first started talking about shadow people,
Yeah.
but she took it and she ran with it. And then she got the Hat Man and she's like, this is a thing. Then Babadook came out. That's spooky.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. I'm going to get a beer now.
You just gave me like a very dad look that was like disappointed at me that you were going to get a beer to drink yourself.
Wait, did I really?
Yes. I was like, wow, dad just looked at me and he was disappointed that he's going to get a drink. It's not my fault.
You have forced me to go get another beer.
You are forcing me to go get this, and I'm disappointed in you because you're forcing me to this beer.
Wait, did I give a dad look or did I give a our dad look?
Our dad. Our dad.
I know what look you're talking about.
I was like, why are you? It's not
What
my
the hell?
fault.
You made me do this.
You're making me do this.
Son of a bitch.
You're such an asshole.
Well, while we're off the rails, Chris, I just have a clip about how old George is because he sounds old as shit in this one. So I just wanted to play it.
Now open for that. You have what you call a Google map, don't you? That you have spirits untapped on it?
Yeah. So when Liz and I started, when we knew we wanted to put the book together, I got the domain spiritsuntapped.com and put up a map. And so the map is kind of a fun thing because we
I just really like you call it a Google map? It's like, yeah, it's a fucking
Google map?
It's a Google map, George. Have you heard of Google?
No, George hasn't heard of Google, dude. George is still using a 95 processor, dude.
Like, God bless him. The guy's not going to quit until he dies, but like, he's old.
A Google map.
You call it a Google. I don't call it a Google map, George. Google did. All right, well, Chris, you want to get some callers?
Wait, well, hold up a second, because so what? What about the Google map?
Oh, he pinpoints the haunted bars on it. That's it.
So we could use this thing for our show to get content.
No, I don't want to steal his thing though. We got to make our own Google map.
Our own.
So follow me.
Yeah.
We'll call it a Google map.
Yeah.
And then start pinpointing the haunted bars across.
Right. In the South.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's in Canada. He's not coming this far south.
He's not coming this. Well, he went to Charleston though, dude.
That's true. But
that's
that's like
not Canada.
No, it's not. It's definitely not Canada.
That is not.
His butt ain't
Canada.
getting to Louisiana.
Yeah, that's true, dude.
Florida,
Well,
the Keys is very haunted.
If he's Canadian, there's possible he's got a little Quebecois in his family, which means he could go down to Louisiana because the Cajuns, you have to remember at the end of the day, are French Canadian.
It's a good point. It's a good point, Chris. Well, do you want to get to our callers?
Absolutely.
So we got a guy that calls in with a theory here on what might be going on.
Mark, I'm a former reporter trying to do rational analysis of paranormal phenomena, and there's something that's always troubled me about ghost stories. And I'm not saying that the people are not seeing anything or that they're lying. I'm not suggesting that at all. But one of the things you mentioned is you mentioned the visiting judge and his wardrobe, and also this lady in a black dress. And I think I heard you say that you believe these visions or whatever they are take up physical space. Did I hear you right?
Oh, some people, yeah, they look like they take up physical space at the very least.
They look solid. They look solid, Bill.
Yeah, they look solid, yeah.
Right. And then, when it turns out like they feel something and like a cat, I think you mentioned, and there's nothing there.
Yep.
And one of the metaphysical difficulties that I have with this, and again, I'm not suggesting people are making it up, but just as to the nature of it, ghosts are by definition non-material entities. So scientifically, they cannot take up physical space. And the other problem is they always, I've touched on this before with some of George's guests, they seem to have an identifiable wardrobe that we know was not the wardrobe they died with, because that would have been long gone, and it would just make no sense. They would have the clothes they were buried in. So the question is, where do those clothes, if they're actually clothes, come from? And the rhetorical answer is they're not really clothes. They're something that appear to be clothes. So the next question is, how could they make people see clothes that are not there? So my theory is that the witnesses are being manipulated by something in terms of possibly a hologram. As to why, I have no idea, but I would liken it maybe to the Skinwalker Ranch phenomena. But I was wondering what you thought of some of that.
This is liberal turd enlightenment thinking trying to do paranormal.
Liberal turd?
Yeah, dude.
How?
That was liberal turd thinking.
No, that is an alien guy trying to make ghosts aliens.
Is that what he was trying to do?
Yeah, because he said it's holograms and it's Skinwalker. It's the aliens are messing with us.
Oh, dude, I didn't get that at all. I thought he was trying to be a liberal turd.
No, dude. I think he's trying to force fit ghosts into alien lore.
See, because my thinking was that he literally meant that he was going more with the idea that these are impressions. And that's what I thought he meant by hologram.
No, I think he's going off of someone's manipulating our brains.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Screw that guy. Didn't like him.
Didn't like that guy.
Sucked. Dude sucked, dude. That'll just be the rest of the calls. As I'm drinking, I'm just going to sit back and be like, dude sucks, man.
Well, we got another caller, Chris. This one's from Hawaii.
Okay.
This one's a little spooky. It's a two-parter.
Ooh, I like Hawaiian.
Yeah,
dude.
so
we
when
don't get a lot of west of the Rockies.
That he said west of the Rockies in Hawaii. So when she references the islands, she's referring to Hawaii.
I landed in a women's shelter on the island due to some domestic problems. And a woman came into the room I was in at about 1 a.m. And she abruptly opened the door, like slammed it open. And there was a light on the desk lamp that was on. And she was going up toward the lamp, like to turn it off. And then went out the door and slammed the door behind her. And I woke up and it was 1 a.m. And I was like, what is going on? So I went and looked and no one was up. There was all these other women in the house, but everyone was sleeping. And so the next day I asked all the women in group, and I looked at everybody if they looked like this woman. And no, nobody looked like this woman who had a bun and silver hair and she was wearing a dress. And one of the ladies there had been there at the shelter for about 6 months. And she asked me to describe to her what the woman looked like. And so I did. And she says, oh, you met the house ghost.
Wow.
I was in the room at the number 1 room at the top of the stairs where this woman was. It was like her bedroom. And I've always been very sensitive. I've always been able to see spirits since I was a small child of 7 and Jesus appeared to me.
There's a lot of stuff that's very interesting about this story. Mm-hmm. One, I think trauma is definitely a way one can penetrate this realm. And so somebody who has been deeply traumatized, I think, could have some interesting antenna come out of that extreme trauma. Mm-hmm. And being also surrounded by people that have that antenna almost creates like a super antenna. And so I like, yeah, dude, if you're ever going to be able to see a being, like that would be the time. And that, of course, like a woman who hopefully, well, maybe not if she's stuck in this realm, but maybe it's just an impression, right? Maybe this is more of a matronly almost being, right? It's the collective of all the women. I don't love that she's like slamming the doors and stuff. That actually doesn't make me feel great. I would hope it would be a little bit more of a calming spirit for these ladies. But again, we're dealing with a collective of traumatized people, right? So maybe the energy they do create would have some trauma in it.
Or potentially, going off that, if the trauma makes it, more possible for you to access a different realm,
Yeah.
then maybe that trauma also makes it more possible for you to project yourself
Right.
into said realm and then communicate with the other women. So it works both ways. The ghost trauma allows her, because that's what we always see, is like traumatic events allow you to project through, and then the traumatic event that this woman has gone through, I'm assuming, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what happened to her, but I'm assuming if you're in a women's shelter, something went down, and that makes it where she can more easily connect. And potentially the shared trauma also makes the connection easier, right?
Well, I'm also, just kind of throwing ideas out here. I'm going to throw a little spaghetti on the wall, see what sticks here, Paul. All right.
Go
now
for
stick
it,
with me because we're about to get weird.
Because we've been normal this whole
We've been
time.
pretty normal here, dude. But
We've kept it pretty calm this episode.
I'm going to push up my sleeves and take another drink for this one, dude.
Quick chug.
What if a collective of people could manifest a somewhat being, right? And so I'm thinking specifically of the Pacific Northwest tribes who had totems. They had totem poles, and every tribe, every village had their own totem pole. That's something that projected about their village. And what if you were in this particular instance, we're talking about a group of women who are traumatized, right? But what if this was a positive thing, right? What if this was a proactive, good thing, a community who came together and had pretty normal, good, functioning community thoughts, right? That would manifest a being. Maybe it wouldn't be a shadow that slammed doors, right? Maybe it would be a being that helped you in some way, or protected the village in some way, or something along those lines, right?
So what you're saying is that if enough people believe in Jesus, Jesus is real.
There's something to that. Yes, absolutely. But I think this is one of the problems. This is you brought this up.
I'm the problem. I'm the problem.
You brought this up. Remember
give it to me. Give it to me.
This is the problem. This is my main problem with Protestants.
Okay.
Is the personal relationship with Jesus Christ. No. We need to have a communal relationship with Jesus Christ. The community needs to collectively believe and then be blessed by Jesus Christ, not the individual. We got to get rid of that mentality. We have to.
Well, you're going after the Protestants. Do the Catholics not discuss personal relationships with Jesus Christ?
You see a Catholic cross around my neck, brother? You see any saints there?
I'm asking because I actually don't know, because you specifically target Protestants. I don't know how the Catholics feel about personal relationships versus. I don't think the Catholics talk about collective relationships, but I don't know.
The Catholics are different in that it's the priest on which you have to get Christ, which by expression becomes a more communal project. I have many qualms with the Catholics. All right. So I'm not a Catholic, but
what I'm hearing is that this is a pro-papist podcast.
The papacy is closer. If I'm picking any Abrahamic religion, though, I'm picking Islam. That's a different story. Let's get back to the show.
We're done with the show, Chris.
Oh, the show's done?
The show's done. We just kept going.
Finish it. Please finish it.
This has been Coast to Coast PM. I don't really know what we just recorded, but hopefully you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week, and it'll be more normal.
We got to give our ranking.
Oh, Chris, on a scale of 1 to 5 British captains being stabbed to death in a wine barrel, what do you give our boy Mark?
I'm giving it 5 because you want to kill 5 British Canadian redcoats, dude.
Yeah,
because this Mark rules. Mark's a good guy. I want Mark on the pod. In fact, I want Mark to be one of our stops on our haunted road trip. And we can go up to Canada and it'll be like, we're in the south of Canada, Ontario. You know what I mean? And, we'll like go up there looking like Hicks. And then we'll see, the Ontarians also look like Hicks. And then we're going to have a great time with Mark. But I love this guy.
Yeah.
I love this guy. He hit he just like pop, 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 concise, all of our points that it's taken us 2 years almost to come up with. And he just did it in about 30 minutes.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I also give him 5 just because I love his job.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. I'm jealous of his job. I want to just go to bars and talk about ghosts.
We got to call Discovery.
We got to call Discovery. You're going to have to reel it in, though, Chris, because I don't think Discovery or TLC is going to go for some of the things we talked about today. We got to stick to ghosts.
So don't show them this episode.
Yes.
If we tell them about this idea.
Yes, exactly. We have to pretend that you can hold your booze and not get this weird.
No, I can't, and I will.
Okay, perfect.
Maybe we need a smaller subscription. Maybe we need like an HBO or something you have to pay for.
Yeah, with people with taste.
Yeah. Oh, there you think people with taste follow me?
Oh, 100%, Chris.
Oh, thank you.
You're like a fine wine.
Yeah.
Much like ghosts.
Like ghosts.
You're a fine wine that must be appreciated.
Please end this. I've embarrassed myself enough.
This has been Coast to Coast PM. You can support us at patreon.com/Coast to Coast PM. You can contact Chris on Reddit, Coast to Coast PM, or you could find me on Gmail, c2cpmpod@gmail.com, where I respond to all the emails that come through, even the hate mails, because I'm that kind of guy. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will be back next Thursday.
All conspiracy, all the time. Later.